Hi all, welcome to my channel Satish Vlogs. In this video, I would be explaining the concept of prepaid expense. What is a prepaid expense? What are the journal entries for prepaid expense? How this prepaid expense should get reported in the financial statements? All these details I would be providing in this video. With the description of the current concept, which is a prepaid expense, we can easily make out this is something related to the prepaid, which means paid in advance. Okay, so which means whatever the amount which is paid in advance doesn't directly hit the entire amount in the current period's income statement. There could be possibility that some amount or expense is pertaining to the future period. Okay, and the examples for the prepaid expenses are: if the business entity has bought the term plans on the life of their employees, then whatever the premium which has been paid by the business entity for their employees would be a prepaid insurance, because the risk would get covered only if the premium is paid in advance. However, the benefits out of it would get generated when actually the event arises, right? Or if the business entity has bought the medical insurance benefit for their employees, then business entity is supposed to pay the insurance premiums on the medical insurance benefits which are being purchased on behalf of their employees, right? So for that, the business entity is supposed to pay the premium in advance. However, the benefits out of it would get enjoyed or arised only when the actual event arises in the future, right? Similarly, the another example for prepaid expense is subscriptions. Normally, the business entity bought the subscriptions for the recreation of their employees, right? Like social memberships or golf course subscriptions, or subscriptions which are being purchased for the entertainment of their employees, etc. Like even the subscription amounts which are being paid for buying the Netflix, or even the Prime membership, etc. All these would be categorized under prepaid expenses. Okay, with this introduction, let's move to the next slide of my video. In this slide, there is a diagram which depicts like a cycle. This is nothing but the accounting cycle. What is an accounting cycle? What are the various phases of an accounting cycle? All those details I had already provided in my previous video on accounting cycle. I request the viewers to go through that video before getting into the details of the current video in order to gain better understanding of the current concept on prepaid expense. As mentioned previously, I would be explaining my concept considering the phases of an accounting cycle. As a first phase of an accounting cycle, which is a business transaction, prepaid expense is a business transaction. Hope this is clear. Now let's move to the next phase of an accounting cycle, which is a journalizing phase. What is a journalizing phase? For whatever the business transaction, for that journal entries are required to be created, right? What is a journal entry for prepaid expense? Prepaid expense is a real account, which means what is the golden rule for a real account? Debit what comes in and credit what goes out. The business entity would be receiving the benefit in terms of a prepaid expense. So the prepaid expense should be debited, right? However, the business entity would not be receiving this benefit at a free of cost. The business entity is supposed to pay the consideration in terms of bank or cash. So the bank needs to be credited. So what is the entry? Prepaid expense account at R2 bank account, right? Hope this is clear. Now let's move to the third phase of an accounting cycle, which is a ledger postings phase. What is the ledger postings phase? For whatever the entries which were created as part of the generalizing phase, for those entries, the ledger accounts are supposed to be created and entries are required to be posted in the respective ledger accounts accordingly. Okay. So we have posted two entries as part of the generalizing phase, right? One is the prepaid expense account and the other is the bank account. So we would be creating the ledger accounts for these two accounts and the entries would be posted accordingly. Now let's move to the fourth phase of an accounting cycle, which is a trial balance phase. What is this phase all about? Trial balance is nothing but the summary of the balances of the ledger accounts. So we have opened two ledger accounts as part of the third phase of an accounting cycle. One is the prepaid expense account and the other one is the bank account. So the balances for these two accounts are required to be updated in trial balance phase. So whatever the amounts which are shown under debit side in the trial balance should matches up with the balances which are shown under credit side of the trial balance. There shouldn't be any discrepancy because as we have been following double entry system of bookkeeping, there shouldn't be any discrepancies and the amounts which are shown under debit side should matches up with the credit side. Okay. Now let's move to the last phase of an accounting cycle, which is a financial statements phase. What are the key statements as part of the financial statements? One is the income statement and the other one is the balance sheet. As stated previously, as this prepaid expense is a real account, this doesn't directly impact my income statement because the income statement normally gets impacted because of the accounts which are falling under nominal accounts, right? So there will not be any posting in the income statement for this particular entry. Okay. However, while coming to the balance sheet, whatever the prepaid expense which has been paid, that amount or that account would be reported under current assets in the balance sheet. And while there is one more account which is a bank account, that would be reported with a negative signage under current assets in the balance sheet. Okay. So there shouldn't be any discrepancy in amount and the balances in the balance sheet should matches up. Okay. Hope this is clear. Now in this video I have explained the concept of prepaid expense. Now we wanted to understand how this prepaid expense needs to be expensed or amortized. All those details I would be providing in my future video on amortization of prepaid expense and the same will be posted in my channel soon. Okay. If the viewers like this video, request you to like it and share it to your friends and subscribe my channel for more videos. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.